Well, in the time it took me to make the cash outs and Origin reaction video, go back and check that one out if you haven't, or if you're in the market for one of those guys. We got plenty of information, and Ted Roker is one of the journalists that covers the Broncos and, well, Queensland especially, but yeah, Broncos definitely there. And he just popped this up, and then we've got news on 9 players that have got some type of fine or sanction, which is really hurts my side. We'll get to that in a sec. But Ted says Pat Carrigan leaving Queensland Maroons camp in a moon boot. DC told us Carrigan hurt his ankle in the first half and played the rest of the game with it. What an amazing effort that was, but puts him in doubt for Broncos game for sure. I think 80 minutes there, 60 or 58 or 61 tackles, whatever it said, and 160 meters. That makes it tough for him. Might be all on Payne Haas, that's for sure. And then Ruben Cotter told me that all Cowboys would back up. That is a little win. Something that I definitely needed there, but yeah, not great. Paddy in the moon boot on the way back. So yeah, that's that one there. So let's get into then the rest of the issues. And this one hurts my side especially, but Blues duo faced melee bans as 9 charged. So both Cam Murray and Olakau'atu, who didn't even bloody play, are both facing 2-week bans, and it'll be 3 weeks if they were to fight it and lose. So I think most likely both those guys are going to cop the 2 weeks, and that really hurts Olakau'atu. Obviously, most people haven't got Murray yet. They were looking to buy him this week, so reverse those trades. But Olakau'atu, I just bought him last week, picked up a lovely 43 for me. Doesn't even play Origin. He's there in his suit, and he gets involved in this on the sideline. And I think it was, didn't they say it was in front of the Queensland bench? Not sure. Anyway, but yeah. So with Olakau'atu, then if they take this, which I'm assuming they will, he'll be out for this week, next week, and then they've got the bye in the following week in round 22. So he's out for the next 3 weeks, which really hurts, and probably means that I will look to sell him with these extra trades that we've picked up, and I'll sell him instead of someone else who's actually going to play games for me, basically. That's how it works at the moment. So super frustrating on that front. Both hit with grade 3 contrary conduct for joining in. So one off the bench, obviously, which can't happen, and then one that's in the non-playing, the non-players there. So we do see To'o had a grade 2 as well. Payne Haas grade 1. Matt Burton grade 1 as well, given he's the 18th man. But he had grade 2 for Nanai, grade 2 for Ruben Cotter, Hammer, and Felice as well, grade 1. All faced fines for their contrary conduct as well. And then Kurt Catewell had he had 2 other incidents where he ended up getting a grade 1 on both Stephen Crichton and on Mitch Moses. So you see there it has, they're fine. Oh, that's the penalty. I didn't realize that that's what it was. So it's 7 to 10% for grade 1s, 13 to 20% of match fees for grade 2s for first offence. Okay. So they're all first offence for that exact conduct, I suppose. So there you go. If they'd had a couple, then they end up getting, losing more money or more games or whatever that is. So there you go. That's the news basically on those 2 fronts, and that's not great. So yeah, Carrigan, owners of him, very frustrating. Hopefully he is okay. If it is just a 1 week thing, hopefully it is. He did play the 80 minutes, so it mustn't be too bad. And you'd say he gets a rest this week, but we'll see how that one plays out. So let's go through now. The reason we're here, and hopefully you got that in the title there, was that we're going through the 450k to 650k guys. And you'll laugh because the first guy is under 450, but somehow I forgot to talk about Cham, who I've been spouting as close to the best option this week in that cheapy range, and covers edge and center as well. So 413k for Michael there. He comes into this week in a really good spot. We now have Murray, who's going to be out for a couple of weeks as well. So probably make Colin Matangi such a must-have, which is so frustrating. I'll have to probably get him now over some of the other guys just because the role he's got there in that middle, and they're so short. He's going to have to play close to that 80 minutes, and Cam's going to have to be in that same boat. So if you look to him as a guy that's going to play 80, you'd imagine Cam on the edge there. You see there in his previous 2 games, 41 and 51 there with the try-saver in that most recent one, 73 minutes. But across his last couple of years especially, he did really well in 2023, getting 40s on a weekly basis, picked up a 28, but that was in 56 minutes, back into the 30s and 40s in those bigger minute games. So I know that Cam can do a good job. I expect him to be sort of 8 to 10 points undervalued, dual position, edge and center, and I think you can rely on him for the rest of the year to play somewhat big minutes on that edge and can cover 2 positions. So a really, really good option. I have him as a slightly better buy than that of Bailey Hayward, just because I think he can score a little bit higher, and slightly under Starling, but I think has a little bit more job security than probably Starling, given we've got Ricky Stewart at the helm in that one. So Cham, a really, really good looking purchase there. Someone high on my list this week is Jack Whiten at 527, priced at 38, averaging 37 for the year, but the last few weeks have been really, really good for him. Picked up a 24 in 43 minutes. He was on track for about a 40 in that one. Good kick meters is what we're seeing here in that round 14 clash against Titans. He was pretty low at 121. Run meters have been good, close to 100 every week, and he's just increasing his kick meters over the last month there. 327, 399, 261 when they scored, 30? There was 48 points there. And then against the Dolphins here, a nice clash. They lost by 8, but he picked up 548 kick meters there. Defensively, he's been pretty solid as well. We know that he can be a really good defender, but 67 and 58. Coming up against the Tigers and Canberra over the next couple of weeks. Plays Penrith in the second to last round, but once you get to that point, you would just be happy for a number, I think, in your side. And I think he can average about that 45, which is really solid for this price point, with dual position half and centre as well. If you're looking for a half this week to not get a Cleary or something like that yet, Whiten is the guy to cover Aitken as well in that centre spot. So Whiten, a really good pick this week. Chris Randall, hooker and mid, he's got. So 575 for him. The main worry is that Fodawaker's back in this squad, which is good. We've got also Jamin Jolliffe is going to be returning likely in round 22 or 23 is the two dates that they're looking at there. So does that mean that Randall loses a few minutes? And it potentially does. I think that they've got a couple of guys back on deck, but Chris Randall is playing this role at lock, and they are winning games. So they obviously smacked the Warriors there. They beat the Sharks, and they've beat the Eels. And those 3 games have coincided with him being at lock. He didn't pick up any tries last week, but he picked up 68 points just through base. 66 run meters, 50 in the tackles, a couple offloads, a couple of tackle breaks, and a turnover as well. So he can do it in multiple ways. And if he could get 70 minutes from here on out, then that would be absolutely cracking. And we did see at the back end of last year, same thing. He played in the prop position and scored really well, and then at hooker as well, where he basically moved from hooker and played mostly 13 in that to get named at hooker, and then would play 13 because he went 117 run meters in both of them before he actually went back to hooker in the last 2. You can see they're back to 29 and 38 meters there. So when he plays at prop or lock, he gets to tackle hard in the middle and run the footy, and he scores incredibly well. So he's definitely someone that could be an awesome pick for you. You see all these hooker games there as well, where he gets sort of 60 meters or less and doesn't score as well because it's just in tackles. But when he's at lock or prop, he's a different prospect. He just has that little bit of a worry of potentially losing some minutes. And if he does get down to a 60 mark, I think that obviously it isn't going to be as good, but he can still score well. Priced at 41, he could definitely still score 50. If he stays at this 70 to 80 minute role, then you could looking at a 50 plus player at a nice discount of 575, gives you hooker and mid cover as well. So yeah, there's plenty of different thoughts you can go with Randall, and plenty of different ways you can use him as cover, and he's very low ownership as well. So a really solid pick there, Chris Randall. Wade Egan at 460, the other hooker I think you could target in this bracket this week. Obviously just outside that 450 cash out type of option, but he has an average of 40 this year and he's priced at 33. So he's had a bit of a shocker in recent history. Obviously since, round 10, he had a tough one off the interchange, and then 9 that he got in 12 minutes against the Panthers there, which wasn't good. 56 minutes in the next one, and then he's got his minutes back up into a really solid range. But his first good score last game against the Dogs, 51 in 89 minutes with 56 tackles. So if you think that he's got any chance of getting back to some of the form that he displayed at the beginning of the year, form that he displayed last year, and if you think the Wires can start to play a little bit better, he's got Canberra, Tigers, Para, Dolphins. So pretty nice stretch there, and he could definitely get some try assists. Adam Fanua-Blake could come into his own over the next few weeks, especially against the Tigers there. So it could be a little try assist to him and these types of things. SJ's going to come back. He does have the bye at the end of the year, but at 460, you could definitely do worse. If you don't want to get Starling, you could get Wade Egan. Tavita Pangai Jr., I can't believe I'm speaking about him, at 467k, priced at 33, and he picked up a lovely score on the weekend of 58. So he went interchange games 38-37 in the first two that he played, only picking up 24 and 29, but a 58 for him last week with really good run meters. Obviously, offloads were there, 4 tackle breaks, so he brought the tackle break back to his game. And if he gets close to 50 minutes, we know how damaging he can be. You look at some of these scores, he can go really good and he can go really poorly there. 74 and 57 minutes, 50 and 51, 15 and 47 minutes. So he has a wide range of outcomes. It's definitely a risk, but it could be fun one to watch. He does come up against Penrith this week, so not sure how helpful that's going to be. They are a little bit decimated with guys resting and stuff like that in Penrith, but yeah, you could grab him this week for sure. Break even's not super high, so if you want to wait one more week, then you could as well. But yeah, it's a roller coaster. If you want to jump on it, you can. Nathan Brown at 491, price at 35 there. Break even's low, so for him, you're looking at here his just rise over the last couple of weeks. He's gone 49, 57, 59, and 45, and he starts in prop this week. So the last time we've seen him start at prop was, can't even find it, in the last 6 years. So he's never started a prop. Hilarious. And interchange or lock he's been in recent history. And I do think that now at 491k, I'd probably rather go up that little bit further and get to a Chris Randall or the next guy on the list that we're going to talk about, Josh Karan. We'll start with him now. Joshy Karan at 579. I just think that, Brown's just fine, but you've got other better options that I think are going to get more minutes now that they've got a few players back. But Josh Karan there at 579. Actually, with Olakau'atu out, we've got Lawton starting on the edge. You'd imagine Burbo will now start on the other, and Lawton could be an interesting cash-out, cheaper option as well. But not like a superstar one by any stretch. But Josh Karan at 579, he now steps into that starting prop role, where the only time he's done that this year, he's gone 54 in 58 minutes, and he went 47 at lock in 66 minutes with, not his best game by any stretch. So he's definitely one of those guys that when he gets big minutes, we know the types of scores that he can hit. So let's just filter it by prop, and he's only had that one in his career. So yeah, hard to kind of work out what we're expecting from him here, but definitely over 50 minutes. And if you go back through across his career, as an interchange player over 50 minutes, he's 44 in 60 minutes, but that does include a lot of time through the second row. So it's very, very hard to look at that. But if you just go to lock, just to give us a little bit more of an idea in the middle, that if he was to get up near this 69 minutes, then it's a 54 average. And that's only the one game this year where he went 47 in 66 minutes. And I do expect him to play a decent bunch, because if you look at their bench, it's very, very low minute guys, or it's guys covering that 13 position in Kurt Mann, Bailey Hayward. These types of guys, not very many big minute middles. I think Hughes will stay around that 30 to 40 minutes, and Curran will be the guy to cover the slack, make up for the slack anyway, and play big minutes through the middle. So I have Curran as a really good purchase this week. Mid and edge dual. Plenty of good things to think about with Joshy heading into this week. It's him versus Chris Randall, obviously, at the price. Randall covers hooker, and Curran covers edge, which is the difference between them. And I think Curran clearly has this position. Minutes week to week could be like 55, could be 50, could be 65. We don't actually know. Randall, if he keeps going as he is, he's going to be better than Curran. But if he drops down some minutes, he could be a little bit worse than Curran in terms of score. So yeah, hard to kind of work out there for sure. Dylan Walker at 499, priced at 36, averaging 42 for the season. So he had a really cracking start where he went 355 and 255s and a 56 in his first 3 games. Bunch of 40s in there. He started slowing down for sure, and then picked up a 62 last week. So if he can get more games like last week and massive minutes, then that could be great. But he does have, a 35 in that range, a couple of mid 40s. So he definitely, if he could average mid 40s for the rest of the year, he misses the last game, but he'll play every game from here. And I do expect big minutes from him. They do have a few guys that could go the bigger minutes. They've got Murata Niokore named on an edge now with Mitch Barnett through the middle. Barnett could be the bigger minute guy. You've got Adam Fanua-Blake that can play the big minutes. Does Walker play that with Jazz Tavanga on the bench? There's a lot of question marks on Walker. So in that case, it might be just a let him go. Unfortunately, just at that price point when you can go for other guys, 100k more expensive that are guaranteed to score a lot better than him across the next 7 weeks anyway. And don't have a buy. So there's that. Johnny Bateman, 587. So him on the edge. We know he had a couple of cracking games. There's 71, 60, and 57. Early on in the year, we know that he's a 50-plus guy on a regular basis. Priced at 42, it's a big discount on Johnny Bateman. 39 in his return game to the starting side, and then a 49. But the big issue here, guys, is obviously tackle numbers are going to be there for a bit. But how often they're standing behind the sticks, waiting for a conversion, is the tough one. But he does come up against Bunnies, Warriors, Cowboys, Newcastle, Rabbits, Manly, right, for his next bunch of games, and then Para in the last game. So no real powerhouse teams, and they might not get absolutely hammered on a week-to-week basis. And if that's the case, then he could get back into the mid-30s tackles. He could get offloads, tackle breaks himself, and some good run meters, rather than standing behind the stick. So if you want to take the punt on him, I think there's definitely way worse options at 587k. I personally would pick a Karan or a Randall over him, but he has that 50-odd upside, and you know that he's going to play 80 minutes on a week-to-week basis. So that's him. Both from wide to touch, throw in there as well. If he does actually stay on the edge for the rest of the year, we know that he can be really, really good. So yeah, picked up a 50, 63, 58, all at second row, 40, picked up a 61 last week as well. So if they continue to play pretty solidly, I think that we might be able to see a try in his range, obviously at second row. We've only seen one this year, which he actually played center, didn't he? Yeah. So he scored 3 tries at center, hasn't scored any at second row. So yeah, chances of it happening are probably fairly low, but does play every game for the rest of the year. 642k. You could do a bit worse, but there's guys that are cheaper, or you go more expensive. That'll probably do better. Katoni Staggs, 466k, priced at 33. If you do think that the Broncos are going to or need to go on a bit of a run, then Katoni could be that guy. He just has a wide range of outcomes as well. Obviously, he was a leader in their team last week and picked up 65, but got 14 the week before against Warriors. A couple of 40s into the 30s. He's a bit all over the shop. So at 466, if you want to go for that range in the center, sweet, but I would just go to Whiten or something like that for this week. Or Cham. I think it's the other good option as well, obviously. Hammer, 560. Seemed to get through okay. We'll see how his AC joint pulls up or if he can actually play this week. But dual position, 560k. You've got him and Asako as potential options. I've spoken about Asako in other weeks, so he hasn't popped in this list. But for Hammer, he's obviously scoring a lot of tries this year again, as he does. It's just how he does it. He has one low score, and then, 2 low scores, a 30 and a 5. Obviously there against the Warriors, 52 last time he played against the Sharks. So he definitely has those type of games in him. Might be 5 points undervalued, but I think there's other guys you could go for. Jacob Kiraz, one of those guys I think is going to have a really solid end to the season. Doesn't play anyone overly difficult. There's no Roosters in there. There's no Panthers in there for the rest of the season. So that's good news for me as an owner already. But 644, dual position. Score average is a little bit higher than that where he's priced. And he'll have Stephen Crichton there for the rest of the season, who hasn't got an injury, which is great. And if he's back on that right wing, we know he can score well, where he picked up a 52 last time out. The 34 at fullback, surprisingly, was his lowest. And obviously, against that Knights there, he moved to the centers, and it wasn't his best there in that game. But when he's on the wing, he's been absolutely tremendous, averaging 50 plus this year, and can continue to do that for sure for the rest of the season. Ryan Pappenhausen, if you want to go a little bit risky, then 564 for Ryan. Up against the Roosters this week is probably the hardest one to pick, but Parramatta next week could be a good one to climb into Ryan Schnackenhausen, that's for sure. So good to see him back playing. Picked up a 64 against the Tigers last time out. A couple of 30s before that with tries as well. So he's not missing out on tries in this season, which is good. But that means he's only averaging 44 in this season. Take out the 34 he got in that 39 minutes, so that could be like a 50, and he'd be up in the 46, 47 range, which is still good and great for where he's priced at, but comes with a bit of risk for sure. So a fun one to watch for the rest of the season. 2 to go, guys. Dom Young at 600k. He is priced at 43 after averaging 44.7 this year, and they do come up against Melbourne and not on their worst defensive side or best defensive side for him anyway there. And then does have that one bye to come. So a few things to think about with him. If you're looking at scores in recent history, still scoring lots of tries, but picked up a 27 with a try, 62 with a double, 41 with a try. I think there's better guys that you could go for than Dom Young at this point in fantasy, but in Supercoach, it's a different story. And then Tommy Turbo. So picked up 3 tries this last week and a try, and unfortunately only picked up 52 fantasy points. So that's where you're going to get from him. And you've seen that for the entirety of the year. He gets attacking stats, but he also doesn't score incredibly well unless he's playing the Panthers, surprisingly. So yeah, the run that they have, it's a little bit difficult. Titans, Roosters into the bye, and then gets a lot easier in the back end there. So it's one of those guys that I just think probably better as a super coach pick rather than a fantasy pick there. So again, might have missed a couple of players. I don't think I have, but it may have in this bracket. If I have, just send me a kind message in the comments, not, why didn't you speak about him? All right, just be nice. I'm human too. I do miss these things like Cham, but an hour later or whatever it is, you get Cham and his analysis there as well. So thank you to all of you guys for being here, and I hope this helps you guys, and we'll get into the guns in a video a little bit later through the day. Have a good one, guys, and good luck with your teams this week. I'm so sad about Olaquadu.